And I'd like to transition to our next speaker, which will be a local hero. And I actually have the pleasure of introducing Mrs. Jessica Jackley Flannery. And I think this you will find a very exciting and inspirational personality. Jessica co-founded Kiva.org just a few years ago with her husband, Matt. And this new organization has actually taken the world by storm. So just to give you an example, in the first year, this is about microloans. In the first year, generated about 500,000 in terms of microloan. The second year, 30x increase, 15 million in terms of microloan. And really what Kiva.org is a unique online tool that enables people to extend loans in a very unique way to small businesses around the world. Now, Jessica I don't think she'll tell you this, but I feel compelled to let you know, because she may be too humble to say this, but just a few months ago, she and Matt discussed Kiva.org on both the Today Show and the Oprah Show in the same week. So that's not too shabby. So what I'd like to do is invite up Jessica, so come on up, Jessica.
Thanks very much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I don't think I would have mentioned the Oprah and the Today Show. It's funny because some people say, well, now what? Now that you've been on Oprah, I mean, that's the pinnacle. Well, it's not really our goal to get on Oprah. If it was, maybe we'd sit back and do something else. But thank you for mentioning. That was a fun experience. So very briefly, I just, of course, want to be the umpteenth person to say thank you for the chance to be here. And I'm just really excited that everyone is in this room and is spending the time thinking about these things. And what I hope is before I dive into more about Kiva, now that you have a brief overview, I was thinking about, I'm thinking all morning, all these amazing ideas are coming out, and I'm thinking, okay, why really am I here? After all of these amazing speakers, talk about stealing thunder, gosh, what do I offer? What can I talk about? What's my competitive advantage? So as I was thinking about why am I here and what the heck am I going to say that is new, I started to think, maybe what I can do is kind of toss that back out to all of us since we're kind of wrapping up here very soon. So I hope that what I can do is share my story, and maybe I can encourage all of us to, before we leave this room, think about and own for ourselves that question. Why are each of us here today, and what are we going to do after this? What are we going to do next? And I believe, and as you'll see with my story, I really believe in a lot of the development of Kiva is kind of based on the idea that we all can do something right now, today. So as I was scribbling down notes, new things were coming at me as I heard other speakers talk this morning. Mark said something last night I was going to quote, but actually changed my mind because he said something else that I liked this morning. Ginny, there's two things mainly. Ginny mentioned this idea of the do tank that I think somebody else mentioned first. And then, Mark, you said that the overriding theme and attitude among Africans today, is hope, or just this belief that it can be done. And I believe very much that as we all answer the questions for ourselves of why are we here, what are we going to do, inevitably those answers will come out of what we really believe is the case about Africa and Africans and ourselves. So as we think, those beliefs will lead us to be a part of a do tank here. So as I think about my story, as I said, the creation of Kiva is really based on my beliefs of not just what Africa is, but who I believe Africa to be in my own one little life experience. So now my story. I'm a native of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I have had some really wonderful experiences in my life that have shown me, hey, the rest of the world, a lot of the rest of the world, at least half of the world, lives in a very different way than I have been privileged enough to live, with the resources around me and the gifts of education and the supportive family and just opportunities all over the place. It's never really occurred to me throughout my life, thanks to the encouragement of parents and teachers and others, that I couldn't do anything I chose to do. So I decided, along the way, I really wanted to get involved in international development, but let's be honest, it's not very specific. So here I am, this middle-class, light-skinned girl from Pennsylvania trying to figure out how to do international development. Well, I'm I pretty much talked to anybody that would give me the time of day during and after college, and then I studied philosophy and political science, not really directly, obviously practical for international development, but things that I loved. Anyway, about 5 years ago, I was privileged enough to hear Dr. Muhammad Yunus speak, and as I'm sure we all know, Dr. Yunus won the Nobel Peace Prize last year for his work in microfinance, and is sort of known as the modern, founder of modern microfinance among a handful of other leaders who started about 30, 35 years ago doing what they do. Anyway, I heard his story, and it was sort of a full-body experience. It spoke to my heart. It just made sense, and I thought, I want to see what this is about. So I quit my job, and I moved to East Africa for a few months to work on a project that basically gave me an excuse to go meet with and interview and just learn the stories of a handful, 3 to 5 microenterprise entrepreneurs every day. It allowed me to go from village to village throughout Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania for about 3 months. And I can't tell you how much I loved this experience. Every day, I bounced out of bed, or more likely not necessarily bed, but wherever I was sleeping and wherever I was, often in very rural areas, and I would just sit and learn about what life was like for these individuals who had used $100 or $200 or $300 to do amazing things in their own lives and in the lives of their families.